Crazy experiences, I think it was like week 8 or something like that. It was the first time I got robbed. And I was like, whoa, what is going on? You know, you kind of get used to it after a little bit, you know, how to avoid situations like that, where not to go. One other crazy thing, New Year's is super weird there. They make these like paper mache characters, like from different movies that are popular at the time and stuff like that. And they'll sell them for 3 or 4 months in advance. They'll start making them and selling them in the street. And I remember the first time I saw them, I was like, what are these? Like, what in the world? They have like Ice Age characters. At the time, they were selling a bunch of those. And it turns out that on New Year's, everyone gets their paper mache stuff and they'll light them on fire in the streets. They call it burning the old year. So they call it like bringing in the new year by getting rid of that old one and lighting it on fire and starting over. There's this one, that Carnaval, where they throw water at each other all day for like 3 days. Out in the streets, just everyone's just throwing water just at everybody. It gets a little crazy, and they'll start throwing stuff and burning things, and it's almost like a riot, but it's like allowed. They do fireworks on New Year's too. That was interesting, just getting used to some of those traditions that they have and the different holidays, and you're like, oh, this is different. It's cool. And then, of course, I was there for the World Cup. During any of the major games, no one's in the streets. Everyone's all locked up watching the game. So we'd just be walking around like trying to find people. It's like a ghost town outside, which was cool because they're really into soccer. It is a little dangerous. Be careful with stuff like that. It's not like you should be scared or anything. It's just, you know, getting used to that environment. It's not bad. It's just a question of knowing what to do and where to go, where not to go. I just love how open they are. I mean, I'm sure it's like that in most South American, Central American countries, but it's just so different from here. Like, you knock on someone's door, and before they know anything about you, they're like, yeah, you should just come in. Stuff like that. And I was like, no way. Like, you actually, like, if someone knocked on my door at home, usually it's a salesman, but like, there's no way that we're gonna let them in my house. Like, my parents would be like, oh, no, we're not interested, that's okay, and they just move on. But in Ecuador, it's like everyone's so excited that you're knocking on their door. Not everyone, obviously, but a lot of people. And that was the coolest thing. It's mostly Catholic in Ecuador, but there's a lot of religions down there. And people are pretty open. They all have a really strong love for Christ. They're really passionate about religion, and they're also really passionate about just interacting and loving other people, which was perfect, because that's exactly what we were doing. So that mutual respect and love that they have for us, it was great. It was really great, and it made it so much easier to love them instantly because they were so open and accepting. It was really cool. The Spanish I learned in school, I think typically was more formal. It's really loose, the Spanish there. At least I felt like it was, which makes it easier to speak, but sometimes it's harder to understand. Sometimes they won't actually conjugate things, or they'll leave out some words, and it was interesting because you have to get used to it. The accent was really easy. If you hear, for example, people talking from Argentina, it's extremely different. They'll change some of the ways that things are pronounced and stuff like that, but Ecuador was really easy that way. I had 18 companions, and 16 of them were native Spanish speakers. So I got, you know, kind of an array of different dialects between the Peruvians and, you know, those from Mexico and Dominican Republic. Now that's a hard one to understand. Oh my goodness. But I thought of all of them, Ecuador was the easiest to understand, thank goodness. You do have to get used to a couple words, like they'll call everyone ñaño, which is kind of like bro, I guess here. But like everyone will say that, so you gotta, you know, pick up on some stuff. It was really fun that the way that they spoke. They're so warm and friendly. They immediately, you know, talk to you as if like you're friends already. You know, it's easy to get along with anybody. You can just go up to anybody and just talk to them, and it's normal for them. Whereas if like in the States, you go up and talk to a stranger, they're like, oh, this is weird, like why would you talk to me? But that's what they do down in Ecuador. They just talk to anybody and everybody. Usually that would be out of our comfort zone, but for them it's kind of just the normal thing. It was cool. It was really cool. The way that they spoke and interacted with each other, it was neat.